Okay, so I can't take credit for this model. This is by Debra Hirsch. Her and her husband Alan Hirsch have both lived out missional community, and they've written several books. I happened to see her at a seminar, so she used this diagram as a way to explain missional church versus the church that we know today in America. So the model that we know today, let's call this Model A, is a building and kind of looks like a little steeple. So the people are in the church and they are worshiping God. In this model, we teach the people who are in to go out, to reach the people who are out. And these people actually, they don't necessarily plan on this happening, the people who are in, but they sort of become their projects because they want to bring these people back in because they are going back in. They would like to bring the people out back in. With this model, there are three very critical things. One is to behave. In order to get in, you have to behave. Two is to believe. And three, then after you have all of those things, you can finally belong here. But what happens is people out here realize that they can't really behave. So a lot of people aren't going to even try to get in there. Now, Debra Hirsch would give you a little different, a different explanation as to where people are. Instead of people being either in or out, she says people are on this spiral that keeps going, and Jesus is in the center, and people are at different places on this spiral. Now, even someone who's, way out here can move in very quickly, when the Holy Spirit enables this. But people are in different places. So all of us are in a different place on this little spiral. She says, and her husband Alan says, what if, and it's not just a what if because they've actually done this. You have a table, culturally speaking, conversations and true community happens around meals at a table. So what if some of these people who were discipled well, came out here, and some of these people got invited here. This is a neutral place, and they gathered around this table. This is the second model, B. Let's call that. And at this model, unlike the order that is in the Model A, behave, believe, and belong, let's say that you automatically belong at this table no matter who you are, where you come from. And that the next goal is, of course, to believe in Jesus, and finally it is to behave, because the difference in this model is that belief is a catalyst to behavior. So you want to be better, you want to grow, and you want to do the right thing to honor God because you love Him. And so that causes you to behave. Whereas in this model, you actually can only keep this up for so long, because without God, you can't possibly really behave. Even with God, we're human and we struggle. So, in this model, you automatically belong. Whereas in this model, you have to do all these things to belong in this sort of exclusive club. And the really crucial point of this model versus this model is that what we're not trying to do is to bring people in here. So the goal isn't to have this model just so that we can get them in this box. So then, instead of people becoming projects, they are simply people who we care about, who we do life together with, and who belong because God made them. They belong for no other reason. And the truth is that those people who belong may never come to believe, and they may never come to behave. But because our goal isn't to get them in this box, we can invest in them in ways that are true and heartfelt, because they are not our project to get in the box, to get in the church box. We simply want to do life with them. And really, through that process of doing life together, they can come to believe and come to behave. But believe in both of these models being the crucial thing. That's what we really want, is the gospel message to be shared and for lives to be changed through Jesus Christ. But we're not trying to conjure up our own idea of what church should look like and force people into that box, into a box where they can't even belong if they don't believe and they behave. We say, I will say this, that we say in the American church, we say, oh, of course, we accept anyone in our church. But that's not actually true, because we have rules that we expect to be kept. Whereas at this table, it's kind of like a family where so-and-so has a tantrum at the table. They still belong. We still love them. They're still part of our family. We're not kicking them out. We don't kick people out of our families. But people kick people out of churches either by their stares or verbally. They might get kicked out of a church. So that's really what's different between this model and this model.